Sorry, I just started.
And baby, I'm TFC till I die.
Hello and welcome back to Toronto Till I Die, the Toronto FC fan show. I'm Mike Newell, and with the TFC offseason in full swing, it's time for us to look back at how awful we were in our preseason predictions with our over-under review for the 2023 season. On today's show, we will go over those over-unders, see where we got it right, see where we got it wrong. And we'll also get to the burning question this week presented by Next Door. Light week, obviously, with not much happening out there in the TFC land. But I will bring in my co-host, Michael Singh and Jeffrey P. Nesker. Gents, how you been doing? We saw each other last week, which was great. We got to all hang out, do some tacos. Chat some TFC. It was good times, buddy. It was good times. Mike, good call on the tacos.
I never asked you guys, so I took them to Campuchanos as I recommended a couple weeks back, and I never actually asked you guys because we were just so busy just chatting a bunch of random things. But how were the tacos? Did it live up to
They
the
were
hype? Did I hype it up too
fantastic.
much? Was it good?
No. They were good. My standard taco was amazing. Are we going to talk about how you order your tacos, or are we going to keep that a secret?
I have no shame.
So my taco was great. I had one, and this is because I had a late lunch earlier in the day. But I was shocked by the taco order of one Michael Singh, who literally ordered a taco that a 5-year-old would order.
What I realized actually over the course of our sitting was that your palates aren't that sophisticated, where you realize.
I love it.
You guys can't realize what's good.
Really?
So what's great, good tacos, you got to appreciate just the meat, just the sauce, maybe sprinkle in some cheese, some crema. Just let the meat talk for itself.
He's a man that knows what he likes. Let the chef be damned. He's a man who knows what he likes.
Okay, I am giving you a hard time, though. I am the guy that gets made fun of all the time because I work for a baseball team, and all I get on my hot dog is a bit of ketchup. That's it. So, from one guy who just likes the simple stuff to another, I apologize. That was rooted uncalled for.
Can't tarnish the actual dog. I get it, man.
Yeah,
actually, I'm ketchup and might surprise you guys, but mayo. Ketchup and mayo on a hot dog.
Doesn't surprise me. Mayo on a hot dog is exceptional. It mixes in with the oil of the meat.
French
mustard
is garbage. The only mustard I do is grainy, spicy grainy mustard. That's it.
I agree with you, but it's not always on offer. Sometimes you got to do as the Romans do, and a hot dog without mustard. I mean, there are some places that won't let you get mustard on your hot dog, so you would be more accepted in certain localities than yours truly.
Very true.
Yeah, they had Dos Equis on tap. It was fantastic. We got to go back there again, boys. It was terrific.
Yeah, we
I
will.
wore my Arsenal kit. You guys both loved it. It was amazing. You said how much you loved my Arsenal kit, and that it immediately made you Arsenal fans, which was its desired effect, actually.
Bull-faced lie.
I'm not even gonna acknowledge it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, moving on.
Indeed.
I just want to bring up
I gotta correct you because you said nothing's happening. And of course, something is happening, which is my segue to what we all know is happening. Thanks to friend of the show, Mike Leach. We've got a date for that end of season press conference.
We do.
It looks to be Friday morning, just after 10 a.m. So anywhere
I like how the press
release
is just after 10 a.m. Not 10.
Anywhere from 10:01 to 10:59 is you're well within. They're well within their rights. So that's exciting.
Yeah, well, it will be interesting. As we were saying just before we came on air, I don't know how much we're going to get out of it in terms of outside of the lip service stuff. Like this, sometimes these press conferences can, end of season can kind of push some things, and some things that we've kind of known actually really get confirmed through comments of especially more the players than anybody that goes up. But I wonder now, given the time that they've had to kind of coordinate messages and sort of get all the talking points down on the cue cards, what are we actually going to get through this press conference?
It may be very robotic. That's my fear as well.
It could be. It could be. You may get some raw emotion. It depends on who's asking the questions and what question they get, because it could strike a nerve, man. You never know. I feel like yeah. Was it last year, or maybe the year before, where you kind of got like some raw answers, especially from like Richie Larea?
You always get honest answers from Richie Larea. Yeah.
Yeah, I know so. Yeah, I know so.
Listen, if no one knew what I look like, I would pretend to be. I'd go and I'd pretend to be a TVL reporter when also takes the thing and just like try to troll him to get like Oso comments out. So yeah, that would be my master disguise.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. The only thing other than before we get to the over under stuff, the only thing I wanted to just really quickly address is what happened last night in Vancouver.
Wow.
I mean, no Vancouver Whitecaps fans over here necessarily, but
Vanni Sartini fan.
Any self-respecting football fan would be looking at that ref and be like, "What in the world are you thinking? And what in the world are you doing?" If you're not aware,
I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either.
I can't believe it.
Like 95th minute,
I've never seen anything like it.
Corner goes in. If you didn't see it, Whitecaps are trying to tie the game. Of course, we're in this zany world of MLS playoffs where you're playing baseball series now, like best
keepers on the attack, keepers way off his line as part of the attack. It was off a set piece, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was off a corner. It was off a corner. They try to play it in. It gets headed out. A Vancouver Whitecap player is about to win the ball back, and literally, the referee kind of just steps right into his way, knocks him over. And normally in football, you stop the play. The referee would blow the play back, and it would be a dead ball situation. You just drop ball, and they start playing. The referee does not play a drop ball. Lets LAFC take off on a 3-on-1. They score, win 2-0, advance. Now,
it was called back. It was called back.
It was called back. That's right.
Yeah. If Vela had shot it, they would have scored.
That's right.
There has to be two players for the offside.
That's right. My apologies.
You can thank inverting the pyramid for that. That is straight to my cranium from inverting the pyramid. There's like 8 chapters on the offside rule.
I mean, in the end of the day, I don't know if it would have mattered, because I do think LAFC probably would have won the game anyway. But it's
and
just
goals don't matter in the MLS playoffs. So 1, 2, 18, who cares?
I think it was just a combination of throughout the game, there was just all around brutal refereeing. It was capped off by that.
Brutal
penalty.
But here's my take, and I know I represent the league in some way, but this is not a biased take. They have no influence over what I'm saying here. The MLS playoffs format, fantastic. Absolutely.
Get out. No.
Get out.
So game 1, I can understand. I get it. Game 1, kind of dreary to go through. You understand that, you win a game 5-2, it only means one victory. And, you can't really advance just by winning the one game. Game 2s, though, when a team is fighting for their life, knowing that they have to win to advance, while the other team can kind of, in a way, take their foot off the gas pedal a bit, but they still want to close out the series. Game 2s are electric, especially when it's on, like Vancouver was playing at BC Place last night. And I don't know, when you're fighting for your life at your home stadium, fantastic. You also get more opportunities for teams to play playoff games in their home stadiums. I mean, we're having the first ever playoff game, I believe, at Geodis Park this week, I believe it is. And that's a team in Nashville that is perennially making the playoffs. So that's surprising to me. So you get these different types of opportunities, but I do love the kind of do or die stakes moving forward, knowing, especially because you have that built up rivalry if you've played a team already, and there is some fuel heading into the second game. Like, I mean, on a heavier note, I guess, like the Kai Wagner stuff with the Philadelphia Union. I mean, they got to go back now and play New England. Will Wagner be available? Will he not be available? Like, the storylines are there to, I guess, add fuel to the fire. So, I mean, I'm loving it, man.
Are we sure MLS isn't paying him? Like, I need to see receipts, because I love you, man. But like, I mean, listen, Turts said it better than I. Would be the same in a 2-legger. Absolutely.
Well, obviously
Sure.
the difference here is
just-
if the first leg's a blowout, right? Like if the first leg's a blowout, then the second leg kind of becomes moot. But I do
listen. What's the thing coaches always say? If you get blown out in your third, like you get blown out 3-0, like we did in the 2016 first round Eastern Conference final, right? In the first half, I believe, if memory serves. What does the coach say? They did that to us in 45. Why can't we do it to them? Like it's we're undoing the apple cart. I don't like it. And I started this, so just let me get to it before I forget. You mean this kit, Richard? This beautiful kit that they introduced this season? That's the one you want to get rid of? I disagree. Yeah, I don't like the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back and forth on it. I just love the fact that you're watching that game last night and it meant something for Vancouver. Because if you come back in that second leg and Vancouver's down 3 goals, 5-2 off that first leg, that's not fun for anybody.
I get where you're going with it. My concern is just over the scheduling and the way that it lays out and how that can kill momentum for a lot of people. I mean, baseball, basketball, hockey, it works for them because their regular season schedule matches that kind of tempo in terms of games played.
This is anti-soccer.
Soccer does not. But we talked about it last week. We don't have to go through anything. Yeah, we talked about it last week, so we don't have to go through the whole thing.
Well, I'll concede this. Playoffs in and of itself are a zany North American thing, so I appreciate this attempt at zaniness. I don't think it's successful, but you might as well experiment with these insane kind of postseason playoff things. And long may the insanity reign. I just don't think they hit on anything with this one. And if there's any consolation, MLS seems to be okay with changing playoff formats like we change our socks. So
CPL does the same thing
pretty soon. So. Yeah, true enough. Maybe that's a sign that soccer playoffs are kind of flawed in and of themselves.
I don't know. I like playoffs. I'm fine with playoffs. I'm also fine with single table too, but that to me is more of a traditional thing than necessarily it being the most effective way. But regardless, diverting here. But let's get into, guys, our over-unders for the preseason.
One thing quickly. Tertz brought up something, Vanni Sartini's comments, right? And how the Referees Association took it as like a shot across the bow, and it sort of dredged up a long-standing kind of argument that the reason that there's such a dearth of referees at all levels is because of the abuse that they face, and that anybody contributing to that abuse is part of the problem. I wonder how you two feel about that. I mean, obviously Sartini was joking, and he put himself in the joke. It's a pretty dark joke, but it's a joke nonetheless, right? For anybody that missed it, he opened the press conference by saying, and I'm not going to quote him, but as far as I know, if you find Tim Ford floating face down in the river, the cops are probably going to come looking for me. It was a bit self-depreciating. It was in poor taste. I don't think it's worth the attention that's being paid on it for, just my 2 cents. I don't think it's worth the enragement that it's sort of produced.
I think Vanni Sartini, I think when you talk to coaches around the league, I think he rubs some coaches the wrong way. You love him because, you get that raw emotion, and sometimes you get some great, clips,
sound
of him.
Bites,
sound bites,
Nickelback
of him singing,
songs,
Nickelback, stuff like that. Like you appreciate that. I think Vancouver fans love Vanni Sartini as their coach.
And I love Vancouver flans. They're my favorite kind of flan.
But Vanni Sartini, again, I think is out of line at times. And I thought these comments were definitely out of line. You can say it's a joke. Sure, it is. But I don't know, in today's day and age when things are written and they're quoted, your first instinct might not be like, okay, that guy across the country that coaches Vancouver is a bit of a jokester. It could be interpreted differently. But I didn't love it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I kind of echo similar sentiment. I mean, I get it. It's a joke, and I'm not that fussed over it because I know obviously doesn't mean it, but man, there were a lot of angry people at BC Place, man, and you just don't want to necessarily kick up something that just doesn't need to be kicked up in that kind of way, right? And look, referee had a shocker. No one's doubting that. I'm pretty sure privately, Pro and the Referees Association are probably having a word with that referee as well, from a performance perspective. But I mean, like, you know, don't necessarily light the barrel on fire.
When you have the bully pulpit, you have a responsibility. You're right. You're absolutely right. I agree with you. Yeah.
All right. Over under reviews, gents. Let's see how bad we are at predicting stuff. Because
first things first.
You know what? I looked at it. I didn't actually think we were that bad, but we'll go over some stuff and
maybe you guys.
Yeah. There's a mea culpa that I cut that I think is worth playing. So let's just open with that.
Go for
it. All
it.
right, cool. Well, that's the end of this segment. Guys, let us know in the chat if you guys enjoyed that. If you did, or give us comments, feedback after for those that are listening to this on the podcast. If you did, we'll do part 2 of this, and we'll go through the rest of the roster, and we'll revisit our picks later on and see how we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. That was a lot of fun. I'm going to be horribly wrong on some of these things. It's going to be just a great laugh when you come back and it's like, actually, Federico only scored 14, but Insigne ended up, scoring 32 and breaking the league's goal scoring record.
Yeah. So here we go. That was a pretty nice taste. Let's open. Number 1, Ayokanola.
Iowakanola, obviously, we know all about him. He is a guy with a ton of potential and hasn't lived up to it the last 2 years. So I'm setting his over-under goals at 6.5 this year. Do we think he's going to score more or less? And just for some context, his career high was 9 goals in 2020. 2021, he scored 3, and last season he was held to just 2 goals. Jeff, let's start with you.
I got to take the under on this, and I don't like it, but I'm taking the under. I hope he proves me wrong.
Mike?
I'm going to go over with a caveat. So I think he'll go over 6. I think he can match 9, maybe even pass it with 10. But I don't know if he's going to score all those goals with TFC.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? Because I think there might be, a situation where a team comes in with a pretty decent offer. Because if you think about it from a contract perspective, like he's on young money. I think he's U22, right? So his cap hit, though he is making like 600,000, I believe, his cap hit's only like 150. So from that perspective, that could be pretty attractive to some teams who need some either striking depth or want to get a young striker who might start to be getting back into form after a long injury. So I will take the over, but it may not all of those goals may be for TFC.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll add Iowa Canola's been on the block for a very long time for Toronto FC, and they're asking for a lot for Iowa Canola. So if there's a team that steps up and meets that price, maybe he does eventually get moved, whether it's in MLS or overseas.
Partly right. Well, not really, but partly right.
I like that, bro. I like that shout, man. You got that part right where he ended up in San Jose. Unfortunately for Iowa, I think he played a grand total of like 43 minutes.
Yeah, it was
for San Jose.
I thought it was less than 20, but
no, it was about 40. I think he got like a half, or maybe not quite a half, but
a couple brief appearances off the bench.
The big one here, 0 goals.
0 goals. So we were very, very, very under 0 goals.
I want to say I took the over on that too.
Yeah, you did.
You did. You absolutely did. I'm the only one that took the under.
I don't even know what I could say, man. Like when you look back at Io, like first of all, I love Io. Like he's an unreal young kid. Such a great person to chat to. Has his head on his shoulders. Really kind of down to earth and kind of has a chip on his shoulder. Keeps it real with you when you do get to chat with him. But man, when you look back at his young career, because he still is pretty young, when you look back at his young career, you got to think like he's got to be one of the biggest drop-offs when it comes to prospects with pedigree. Like I feel like his expectation was after that 2020 season, even before that,
sky high.
Yeah, it was pretty high, and then dang.
But can we say that like realistically, in terms of actual output, things that he actually did. He had one great tournament at MLS's back, and then was like
That's
maybe kind of
Bitcoin,
average.
baby. That's the speculative market. I mean, that you're right, but
And I think that whole year he was good though, because I think even throughout the COVID season when they had to play Vancouver and Montreal again, I still think he was good. Obviously, that was his best showing at that tournament. But if you look back at the Iowa Canola in 2020 versus the Iowa Canola in 2022 and 2023, shadows of themselves. I mean, I don't remember
that
the
injury.
last time that. Yeah, I don't remember the last time Iowa got in behind, and that's what he made his bread and butter. Like that's what it was. It was getting him behind on the shoulders of back lines, his speed at the time to be able to, like I said, just get that extra step and shield off defenders. And he had that finishing touch as well, which just has completely gone down the drain. So, I mean, like I said, he's still very young. Hopefully he finds himself in the right scenario and he can overcome whatever this lapse is, this burden is that he's carrying right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gets to do it with TFC next season.
Yeah. I don't know.
He had one.
That'd be hard.
I mean, he had one game under John Herman this year, and he got an assist in it and looked pretty good with the national team.
It's a good way to end it.
Field, so
it's a very good way to end
never
it.
Say never.
All right. Moving on. Federico Bernardeschi.
Federico Bernardeschi. Well, everybody's favorite TFC guy, it feels like right now. So last season, Mike, you touched on this already, but he's off to a blistering start, right? 8 goals, 13 games. His over-under I'm setting right now, 16 and a half goals. Over or under 16 and a half goals?
Yeah, I'm taking the over.
Smashing that over?
I'm going to go over. One, he takes the penalties, so that's going to help.
Does he, though?
Well,
we'll see. That's an interesting conversation.
He has. I mean, down the stretch,
he did in preseason.
Yeah, but
he did miss one.
He did miss one in preseason. Yeah, I'm gonna go the over on that. I think I really am very high on Federico Bernardeschi. I think he's an MVP candidate, like a serious MVP candidate in this league, just with the better understanding with the team, and a full off season, and he's not going to be playing with kids for the most part. Over. Yeah, it's almost as the easiest over I think I can take.
I mean, I take the over. I think he's in Golden Boot MVP territory.
Yeah. So for context on that, Jeff, 24 goals was the Golden Boot last year.
Yeah. I figured 16.5 is getting close to that number. I'm taking the over. Absolutely. I think he'll break double. I think he'll break 20 goals this season.
It's a consensus then. Over 16.5 goals for Federico Bernardeschi. Just doing the math quickly, I think on the top of my head, he was on pace for about 20 last season.
Yeah, so let's all go buy some lottery tickets.
Oh man, we were such spring children at the time, right? Such
I don't
children
even
of summer.
recognize that guy. I don't recognize that guy. Who is that guy with the blurry background and all that enthusiasm? My goodness,
we were such children of summer, man. We had so much hope, so much hope. Just dashed.
Oh my,
just dashed.
Whoa.
Oh boy. So, I mean, what more can we say? Like, we've said a lot about Federico Bernardeschi this season.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I don't want for the record, he scored 5. Right, so
4 assists.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about Federico Bernardeschi is that when you look at the minutes played on TFC, he is far and away he had the most minutes played. Like not even close. No one was in the same stratosphere as Bernardeschi. So the one thing you could say is that he was available for the team, which is more than you could say about a lot of the players on the team. Joint leading scorer, I guess. Joint leading scorer.
Yeah. With a guy making like 90K.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's build a team around him.
Yeah. I don't really know what else to say.
There is nothing else to say. Let's just move on, man.
All right. MB4, because I mean it can't get any worse. Here we go.
Michael Bradley started all 34 matches for Toronto FC last season, played all but 10 minutes.
You're supposed to be muted when that happens. This is weird. Anyway, go ahead. Do your one thing.
Sorry, the one thing was Bernardeschi on his penalties, because Mike, I know you were talking about that. I think I saw people in the chat talking about it. TFC won one penalty, I believe it was this year.
Yeah. And he took it, right?
What?
Like he took it.
Yeah, he must have taken it. Honestly, it's so long. It was the first game of the season, I believe.
Yeah.
But oh my god.
Well, that tells you how often they were in the box, which is not.
That's a thing too. I think like one of the things that the team needs to address is they need to find people who can drive at the box and drive in the box. When you look at their strikers, they took 1, 2. Be lucky if you take 3 touches. Insigne doesn't drive at defenders really. He's more of a guy who kind of facilitates and play makes. Bernardeschi, I think his one move got found out, as Jeff, I think you pointed this out earlier. That got found out pretty early, and well, he tried. He wasn't very good at getting into that box. So yeah, one penalty.
Yikes!
Yeah,
yikes! All right, MB4 time.
Michael Bradley started all 34 matches for Toronto FC last season. Played all but 10 minutes. Was second in Major League Soccer in minutes played last season. Michael Bradley over 32.5 starts. His over-under is 32.5 MLS starts.
Scratch my previous one. This is the easiest one. Michael Bradley will start.
Like, why are we even asking this question?
Wow.
I forgot this was on the sheet. This is why I said I take it back.
Yeah.
He is going to start. He will start over 32 points. Like, I know they brought Cervania in, and that's great. The difference
32.5.
32
so 33 or 34, because there's only 34 games in an MLS.
Oh, I get it. You're talking regular season, but I mean, and I guess you're saying MLS starts. Yeah, I think he starts the majority of the MLS games. I think Cervania is going to be for cup matches and for Leagues Cup.
Yep, I agree.
But here's the one caveat. I don't think the minutes are going to be the same. I think there will be more opportunities to take Michael Bradley off during matches and bring Brandon Cervania in to play minutes. So I think that's how you do it. I think it's Michael Bradley starts games, and he'll probably finish like 40 to 50% of the games. He'll do the full 90. Either way, that's where I land.
Jeff, you too?
Yeah. Oh yeah, easy over.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing we're taking for granted here, that it's a credit and testament to Michael Bradley, just how durable he has been. Injuries always a possibility, right? To this.
Yeah, but he is the T2000. Like, he will.
That's the thing, right?
He'll be hurt, and then the next week
incredibly durable.
Yeah,
36. He's gonna be 36 this season. It's actually insane.
And it was actually insane.
Well, here's the thing. So, no, of course, obviously he did not start 32 games.
Credit to Mikey Singh over here for that little. Well, there could be an injury.
I think we're all thinking it.
Yeah,
I think we're all thinking it.
Yeah, but look, he started. He didn't make it to 32. Obviously, only appeared in 17 games, but he started every single one of those games. And he would have been on pace to hit that 32 if he not got hurt. He would have played the 30. He would have started the 32.
Can you capably say otherwise? I have to agree with Mike Newell on that one.
Yeah,
Had he stayed healthy, he would have started them all. Yeah.
Second half of the year.
But I mean, how can you tell? Yeah.
We had no center mids or center backs.
Yeah, so he probably would have started. He would at center back or center mid. He probably would have started them all. And then obviously, of course, the minutes are the minutes of what they were. But he would, if he based on sort of the way, and I'm just looking at his playing time in minutes right now, he would have been on pace for. Basically, he would have eclipsed Federico Bernardeschi, just for record, 2,601 minutes. Michael Bradley at 1,441. So if he goes the full season and say he doesn't get hurt, he probably plays almost the same amount of minutes he would have played in 2022.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, we're not surprised by that. I guess. I mean, I'm not surprised by that, based on the way the season played out. Even heading into the season, I just felt like under Bob, Michael was a key cog in that Toronto FC lineup, and even as we all saw after Bob, he was a key piece in that lineup. So, this was a sad one. That's a sad one. No more Michael Bradley.
Vegas doesn't care about injuries, boys. You're right, Mr. Turks.
That's why you don't put money on
it. Mm-hmm. Who's next? Matt Hedges. Here we go.
Matt Hedges. Obviously, big acquisition for Toronto FC. I'm saying is over-under, and I'll add some context to this after, but over-under, 3.5 yellow cards. Matt Hedges, he only had, last season, he played 28 MLS games. He only had 2 yellow cards. his whole career, really. I think he's only been sent off once, but he's been a really disciplined defender. But in Toronto FC's system, we've seen defenders have to take some strategic yellow cards sometimes. So I'm setting his over-under right now at 3.5. Jeff, what do you think?
I think over, because he's our stay-at-home guy. So he might have to put out some fires by taking them tactical yellows. So I actually think that he might go over the 3.5.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take the under or just about even on that. I've seen Matt Hedges play quite a bit. I've watched FC Dallas games because I'm always intrigued about the young players that they're bringing up. And you're right, like he does not card. Like he's actually a very disciplined defender, a very good stand-up tackler, and generally doesn't put himself into positions where he needs to take these kind of tactical yellows. Now, that's under an FC Dallas system, and they played a little bit differently, so we'll see how that goes. But I'll probably take to not sit on the fence, I'll take the under on that, and I'll say he's probably going to match 2 that he did last year.
Sweet.
Okay, there it is.
So who was right? What was the final tally?
So do you want to take it, Mike, or you want me to take it?
It was 3 yellow cards. It was 3 yellow cards. So he actually picked up all 3 yellows with Toronto FC, prior to being traded to Austin. And then with Austin, I think he appeared in 6 matches and he did not pick up a yellow card. Yeah, I miss Matt Hedges, man. Like I feel like I feel like when you look at our free agent signings, he's probably the second best free agent signing behind Sean Johnson. Could make an argument that he was the best for us based on the way that he was playing and how the team played when he was inserted into that lineup, and just how much they fell apart when he wasn't in the lineup. So yeah, just the one thing I will say, though, it was an unbelievable trade by Jason Hernandez with the foresight to deal Matt Hedges at the time that he didn't deal Matt Hedges, because his value was at his highest. I think if you were to hold on to Matt Hedges the rest of the season, I'm not sure you're getting what you did get. So I got to give credit to Jason Hernandez for pulling the trigger when he did pull the trigger on the Hedges deal.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, I mean 3 in what 14 games with TFC.
Brawler.
I mean, who knows what that averages out to if he stays the whole season, considering how that defense sort of fell apart, but partly fell apart because he left, right, or was traded. So
yeah, fair enough. All right, moving on. Everybody's favorite waste man, Lorenzo Insigne. Here we go.
Yeah, Lorenzo Insigne, one everybody's been waiting for. That's the guy right now that I think has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Over under 18.5 goals. So just for context, last season he had 6 goals, 2 assists in 11 appearances. Now none of them were from the penalty spot, which I think is important to mention. He obviously has the full preseason under his belt, as we talked about earlier. And just last season, he was on pace for about just over 18 goals. Jeff, what do you think?
Under. I don't think he's going to pot that many goals as much as he's going to assist. I think Feta will better him in the tally this year, so 18.5 is too high a number for me.
Mike?
Over just slightly, though.
I like it.
Yeah, we've got our 2 wingers. We're scoring 40-something goals.
Well, I mean, and again, my reasoning is I'll take the over. I'll say it's going to be like 19.
Okay.
19.
Soft
over.
That's golden boot territory.
It is golden boot territory, I think.
But
Jeff, I'll counter you. I think his assist numbers will actually not be that high, because I think.
Oh, really? I think they're going to be stupid.
No, I think that's going to be more Federico, and the reason being is that I think he is going to be sort of tasked with more of the shooting role, being more of that, not quite a second striker, but in that sense, like definitely coming off that wing and shooting a lot more than
the reverse Arjen Robben. Let's bring it. Yeah, bring it.
Exactly. Summer children.
Narrator. They did not bring it.
Yeah, summer children.
Wow. Guys.
We're stupid.
We are stupid. Yeah. He wasn't making stupid assists. We're just stupid.
I will say, though, 4 goals, 5 assists in about 1,500 minutes, just shy of that. So, in essentially what half of Federico was doing, they produced around the same amount. So, he's probably on pace to be our leading scorer and assist getter, point getter, I guess, if you want to call it that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you guys had to pick between one or the other, Insigne or Bernardeschi to have on your team moving forward, if you had to, Jeff, just if you had to, there's no get rid of both of them. Okay?
Thank you for the caveat.
If you had to pick, who you picking, Insigne or Bernardeschi?
I think I'd just cash out and drown myself or figure out a way to get out of the situation.
Did I not make myself clear?
Yeah.
Answer the question.
Insigne, I guess.
Wow, he said it. I can't believe he
Yeah,
said it.
I guess Insigne. I guess.
Mike?
Do I have to?
Strictly from a value for player and what you might be able to get if you have to get off of them, probably Bernardeschi, even though I'm not the biggest fan. But yeah, just for that reason alone.
From a business standpoint.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true businessman.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I'm not answering. I'm not
Oh my
stupid.
god!
Oh yeah. Ask the questions.
Wow.
Never. That's a journalist.
Yeah, we should have seen that one
See
coming.
on these
We should
videos,
have
I was
seen
the
that
guy
one
just
coming.
answering,
Yeah,
asking
yeah,
the
we should have
questions.
seen
You
that
don't
one
see my bad taste.
We're idiots. We're idiots again. Wow. Okay, here's Sean Johnson. Let's
You guys
just
never
burn
learn.
through
Another
it.
guy who's going to be under a lot of pressure is Sean Johnson. I'm setting his over-under at 6.5 clean sheets. That's a weird term in Toronto, clean sheet. We don't hear it very often. But let me just throw some stats out to
I
you
love
guys.
this stat.
So Sean Johnson, he's kept 7 clean sheets in every year since 2017. TFC, they only kept 3 clean sheets as a team last year. But I will add, those 3 clean sheets all came after the debuts of Bernardeschi, Insigne, Marc-Anthony Kaye, and Richie Laryea as well. So, Jeff, I'll start with you.
Over.
That'll be a big upgrade for TFC.
Huge. Humongous.
If they get 7 clean sheets, they're going to be well in a playoff spot, is my prediction.
Fantastic.
Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, over. I think the team will be better defensively this year. I think for the reasons you mentioned earlier, right? The ability to keep possession better, not give away the ball in silly positions. That's what cost them a lot of goals last year, was just giving the ball away in bad positions and then being forced to defend in transition and being terrible at it. And I think you cut a lot of that down if you have the players in the starting 11 that you have. So
Tony's
definitely
comment's
over.
amazing. Tony's like, yeah, we're getting a bunch of clean sheets because there are more paws he's got to face. No chips. Just dip. What was the final tally on this one?
6.
6.
Oh,
Like I said, if we had 7, he'd probably be in a playoff spot. But we finished with 6. So. The majority of those were
one more clean sheet would have saved our season. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
the majority of those would have come early in the season, right? When we were finishing games 0-0, 1-0, 1-1. Like we're under Bob, we kept things really close, really tight, but we were not scoring goals whatsoever, creating chances whatsoever. Insigne was also out for
Almost
essentially all of that.
Yeah.
As well. So maybe that's part of the reason. But Sean Johnson, man, like if he was healthy, he's probably eclipsing that 6 clean sheet mark. It's be interesting what his future will be. He's a guy you obviously want to have in net, you want to build around, and he's a great character, but he's got 1 year left on his deal here in Toronto. If Toronto's intention is to compete, maybe you keep him, you risk losing him in free agency the following year. You have Luka Gavrin behind him. Or if they intend to rebuild, do you consider moving him? Because he does have value right now.
He has value.
It would be interesting. It's weird because up until that point, the defense had actually improved from from that perspective. But obviously, as you mentioned, Mike, the issue wasn't the stopping goals. The issue was you couldn't score anything. And that plays a lot into sort of, you have 6 clean sheets, but are nowhere close to contention.
But if we had 7, guys, if we only had 7,
you're not listening,
the
guys.
whole thing. Yep, exactly. 7 was the magic number. Temi, let's do Temi. Might as well.
Temi Atinaglu, a guy I've been really high on the past. I'm not sure I'm as high on him now as I actually was, even though we all saw that absolute screamer that he scored for TFC2. So I have it here, over under 3.5 starts in all competitions. Jeff, what do you think?
League Cup hero, I'm taking the over. I'm screaming with the over on this one.
Even with TFC just signing Kobe Franklin.
I'm taking the over on this one.
Mike Newell?
Under. I'll take the under on this, and it's simply because, again, I think they may move in for a more experienced piece for depth.
So I wanted to give you your flowers there because the two of you basically predicted some of the stuff that went down this year. And in a sea of bad, I figured we'd include this one, even though Temi's no longer with the club, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he finished with 3 starts, so just shy of that over-under. I'm actually surprised it wasn't more, just based on the way the season was going and the lack of depth TFC had at fullback. But like I said, finishes with 3 starts, and as we've learned this week, TFC electing not to exercise his contract option, which to me, honestly, not the biggest surprise. But I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on Themi.
Yeah, we had talked about this last week briefly. I think we both thought he would be back as, again, like a cheaper kind of option off the bench or under supplemental roster. Not a lot of money.
Can jump between the A and the B team capably. Yeah. Good utility player, defensively minded, has some attacking moves that we've seen.
Yeah, but I think there is this sort of he probably is getting to the age where it's like, okay, he's like 22, I think, or 23. Like, it's kind of like, hey, are you going to play minutes or not? Right. Like that I think TFC may get to that point where with some of these guys, they're like, hey, look, either you're ready to be a regular contributor or it's not, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to send him back to TFC2 again for another season. So if he's got an opportunity somewhere else where he can get real minutes in play and not MLS Next Pro, which I guess I'm knocking MLS Next Pro to a bit, then I can understand why you let him go.
Yeah, I think another thing that you got to factor in is just keep an eye on TFC's academy and who else is coming through. Right?
Okay. There's the magic.
So many minutes available, and I like you said, Mike, Themi's getting up in there in age, and I believe the only reason why he was actually signed to his contract in the first place was because he eclipsed that call-up threshold when he was originally being called up from the MLS Next Pro side. Because if you guys recall, that kind of came out of nowhere when it was first announced. So it's kind of out of necessity in a way. But yeah, I mean, he's got talent. If he can kind of piece it all together, can stay healthy, get consistent playing time, as Mike said, could be a guy that, we see develop into a player in a couple of years.
Yeah, keep an eye for him in Nashville, where he's going to end up being a world beater. Moving on to our own personal world beater. You know him, you love him, our number 99, Adama Diomande.
Our new number 9, Adama Diomande. Over under 8.5 goals. He had 12 goals in 2018 with LAFC and had 8 goals in 2019.
I'll start here. I think it's an under, but I don't necessarily think that means that he's had a bad season. I think he's going to be one of those guys who is going to be able to hold balls up, run channels. You're kind of in the Emil Heskey, you're a striker, but you're not scoring goals role, but that doesn't mean you're a bad player. It means you just fill a different function. So I'm going to say under. I'm probably going to be wrong.
I'm saying over.
Yeah, we saw a glimpse of that during the preseason game, the LA Galaxy one, where I think it was called back, if I'm not mistaken, for offside. I think he'll score a lot of those types of goals.
Exactly.
Where he's on the shoulder of a back line and he's beating a defender to a Lorenzo Insigne cross or a Federico Bernardeschi cross. I'm going to go over on this one. I feel like Diomande is going to benefit. I think he's the type of striker that Bob Bradley likes to see in his system. So let's say over 8.5, that's 9 goals. That's a lot, but when he's on the pitch and he's played, I think his goals per minute is ridiculous.
Under Bob Bradley.
Yeah, it's an over. It's an over.
Should have said his over under at 8.5 minutes.
Oh, what if it was over? I mean, it's officially a Dama Diamande. 5 appearances, 2 starts, 166 minutes played before we had to shut him down for the rest of the 2023 season because of blown Achilles. Was it a blown Achilles?
It
It
was
was
an
a heel.
Achilles
Had a
injury.
boo-boo. It's a
It was an
boo-boo.
Achilles
Yeah,
injury,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Mhm. Bad boo-boo.
It's hard to say, right? Like, who knows? Who knows how it could have been? Really.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
We put a lot of stock into that LA Galaxy preseason friendly, though.
So much stock. We should all be buying Diamande kits and having to source the name sets. That should be our penance for that.
When he played,
yeah.
he did look like he had the best touch as a first strikers out of
Yeah.
all the strikers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
But
not
you know
saying
what I think he is, though? I think he is a symptom of what the issues around Bob Bradley were in terms of him as a football president, as a GM, right?
I don't think
It
you
was-
can hang that on him without context. I think he was desperate to sign people because he had no money because of a certain.
Well, he had to win, and
winners
yeah,
that
and
he
then
aired.
It's a
the
pretty
board
big
cut
chunk
the
of
purse
change he
string.
gave Diamande, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And
no, I
think-
mean you
but
can't
think
excuse
that's-
giving him $600,000 to do nothing. Absolutely.
But that's what I mean.
Absolutely.
That's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
can't
I'm
always
sorry
just
I interrupted you so quickly. You're right. You're 100% right.
yeah,
Taking
like
into
just going
account
through
all
the
of my
phone book.
negatives. Mhm.
Yeah, no, well, I'm just saying, like he can't, like as a manager, going through just the phone book and saying like, okay, well, let's just get this guy and let's just give him whatever he wants. That kind of is an indicative issue of all the signings Bob Bradley made in a lot
Yep.
of cases.
Look at the Mark Anthony
Yep.
K trade. Right? That was Bob's guy, Mark Anthony K.
Mhm.
Right? He found so much success under him, and he turned into I guess a diminished product because when we paid for him, we paid about $2 million in assets. Gave up Ralph Priso, and when
Yep.
you ship him out, you're just getting, I think, a couple hundred in Gam and Latif Blessing as well, who again is another guy who hasn't really shown.
Yeah,
Much.
you get a guy.
Too much promise.
You don't get much in only 155 minutes out of Latif Blessing, right? So
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good point.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, moving on because I know we've got like 10 minutes to do what's left. We may not get them all done tonight, Mikey, and I don't want to do
That's
this
fine.
with you. So we may have to carry some over to next week. DeAndre Kerr, let's go.
DeAndre Kerr, he's a guy who I don't think gets enough love. I think he might be, aside from Jaquil, the best prospect that Toronto FC has that's signed right now. Over under 4.5 goals. Last season, he had 3 goals in 26 appearances. What do you guys think?
yeah, under and under just simply because I don't think he's going to get the amount of appearances he got last year. I agree with you, Mike. I'm still very high and very bullish on DeAndre Kerr, but I 4.5, 5 goals with maybe less appearances. I under.
So I think DeAndre Kerr is going to play a big role for Bob Bradley.
So do I, actually.
I really do. I
Okay.
think Bob's kind of touched on him a little bit. I think he could be a really
Well, where would he
important
play
option
him?
for them.
Where do you think he'd play him? Because he
Either
can
through
play
the
3
middle-
positions, right? He can be a midfielder, he could be a winger, or he could be an out-and-out striker.
Exactly. He has a lot of potential. I love a lot of his starting points too. He's got that power, that pace. His first couple steps are electric.
Kurtz
I'm
McGurt's really
high
high
on
on him.
Kerr.
He's got him down for 8 goals.
He's
which
a
means
baller, man.
TFC is scoring 66 goals this season.
Yeah,
Go against
So far.
conceding 66 last season. I love it. We have another thing we can thank DeAndre Kerr for, and that's for being the first over on our over-unders. Yay!
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Mike.
Bright spot, man, and not
Yeah.
very many bright spots with this Toronto FC team. DeAndre Kerr is a guy who came as I believe, out of his freshman year. I think he's a sophomore at Syracuse, signed for TFC, kind of under the radar. No one really knew about him. Signed when he was 19 years old. Has really flourished into one of the team's best up and coming young players, and I think really one of the best up and coming young players in Major League Soccer. I don't know if he actually gets the respect that I think he deserves. I'm excited to see what his future holds for DeAndre and how this team elects to use him moving forward, because I do feel like he can be a really valuable piece.
Yeah, I think the one benefit of Diamande going down is you got more DeAndre Kerr, because I think, again, I still hold that I don't know if he gets the same amount of minutes. I don't think he gets 1,200 minutes if Diamante's fit and playing every week, right? So
at number 9 position too, which I think is very
yeah.
important. I think that's his best position.
Yeah.
I think he's a number 9.
Yeah. I mean, what a bright spot. He's our star boy. Love the man. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, yeah, next up, we're going to burn through him now. This one's a good one. I think I'll just let it fly.
This one's a really interesting one. Richie
we got
Larea.
more. Oh, wow.
Will he stay past June?
Yes.
I don't know. It looks like Nottingham Forest should be safe. If there's a possibility that they strike a deal, I just wonder if Forest ask for a transfer fee, right? Like what is the transfer fee going to be? And will TFC be willing to pay it? I'm going to lean towards yes. I think something will get worked out, but I could also see a scenario where the asking price might be too high.
We got money.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes. I think unequically, yes.
You've been saying it forever. That's why I say
you've been saying that for a while.
I think there's a handshake agreement there, but we'll see. Sweet. We'll see how that plays out.
Well, they had a handshake agreement with Vancouver.
No, I think they're, like I said, I think TFC had first dibs at Richie throughout the process.
100%.
Ultimately, as things unfolded. But interesting enough, Richie Larea was substituted off at the 55th minute in Vancouver's do or die playoff game. This is a guy that was brought in and projected to be a designated player for this team or Vancouver in the winter. If it's up to Vanni Sartini, who pretty much called out Richie Larea after the game. He said,
he said he had a bad game.
Maybe
you saw the same. You read the same articles that I did. They are not speaking definitively about Richie coming back as a DP. It is always written as in, like if when. It's never qualified as an absolute, which I find really interesting. And I've seen 2 or 3 articles that took the same care to not speak in absolutes. He may be getting done dirty by that club, which is unfortunate for.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the talks were between the 2 clubs, but I'm just saying maybe.
No more handshake deals, Richie. Stop doing handshake deals.
Maybe
they're not working out for you.
He finds back to Toronto.
Maybe. I believe we want to see it.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, I think right now I don't think his value is at his highest. He played his best football in Toronto. Toronto might value him more than any other club right now.
Yeah, fair. 100% fair.
Let's see what Forrest asked for him.
Yeah. Mikey, you stop me when you think we're going to run out of time for the burning question. All right.
We'll do one more and then we'll do burning question.
Okay, which will leave us with 5 more for the next show, which is a nice little. Okay, so let's do it. Here we go.
Shaquille Marshall-Ruddy, over under 900 minutes played this season. And just for context, last year he played 613 minutes in 17 appearances. Jeff, I'll start with you.
Under 900 is too close to 1,000. That's proper, meaningful, serious.
Jaden Nelson got 2,000 last year.
I don't see it. If you'd said 800, I may have gone over somewhere between 8 and 9, but I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have to agree with Jeff here. And the reason I'm going to say that is, again, I really do think that the starting 11 that as we I think we all have pretty much constructed will play the lion's share of the minutes. I think he will play minutes. Like, I think he'll come off the bench and play minutes. It could be close though. I think it could be close.
I think it's over. I think TFC know that they need to develop this kid and give this kid minutes. Not just potentially to sell him on, but potentially just for themselves. I think They really have to get him, for lack of a better word, back on track.
The endless question. The endless TFC conundrum.
Yeah. So for record, he played 1,100 minutes.
Nice.
In 22 appearances, 11 starts. A lot of that with Insigne out, right? So.
He played all over the pitch.
He did.
He played all over the pitch. That's a blessing and a curse, because where does this team see him moving forward? Is he a wing back? Is he a fullback? Is he a winger? At times he was a central midfielder for this team. So, like, in a way, you can be a Swiss Army knife, but also that could mean that your best, value could be off the bench, and that's not somewhere you want to be. I think as a young kid who has the pedigree that he has. But dang, man, that's
such a good point.
That's a what's a bit of conundrum I think both Shaquille and the team have themselves in. But you also have to remember the kid's 19 years old.
Oh
Like
my God.
we've hyped him up for so long, and I think the team's hyped him up for so long because there's obviously I think there's quite clearly talent there. He's got to take that next step forward. He's got to take that next step forward, I think.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last week. So I think we've sort of gone through all the JMR.
It's depressing that, like, you know, there's so much distance from some of our other clips, but this one, it's essentially the same conversation we've been having for a long time. You know, it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame to end on this one, but I mean,
but like, look what I just said with DeAndre. I was just saying, like, we got him when he was 19 years old. You think about it in that same light. Imagine Shaquille is joining TFC, and next year is his first year at 19 years old. That, if you look at it through that lens, I mean,
that's a great lens. I'm borrowing your lens. Are you sure?
Yeah, I hope you're. I hope those are bifocals, man.
Yeah. We're all sharing the same glasses. It's going to be hilarious.
I still got belief.
Right.
And I still got belief in him. I think.
I hope so too.
No, I bought all the stock, guys. Come to my house. I have the stock. That's how we're treating Jambar this year.
I think his best position is a wing back, and I think under John Herman, when they're going to play 3 at the back and play with 2 wing backs, I think this could be a year he takes a step forward. But we'll see how this team builds itself out and what kind of role there is for him.
Yeah, praise be. Hopefully.
Praise be. I would love to see that.
Yeah, let's run into this burning question here, and I guess on the road.
Ooh. All righty.
The burning question presented by Nextdoor. Nextdoor is the official community app of Toronto FC. It's also where you can connect with the people and local businesses in your community. Download Nextdoor to find soccer fans in your neighborhood, like on the Toronto FC fan community group. We've been posting, interacting, doing a lot of things there. And thank you all for those who have already joined. If you haven't, you can download Nextdoor at the App Store or at nextdoor.ca. And the question we asked you this week is, what do you think of TFC's first set of offseason roster moves? You like them? You don't like them? Anybody we should have kept or let go? A couple of comments here. One from Luca just saying they made all the right choices. Now they need to go out and sign a DP midfielder and a good center back and run it back. So he's talking about keeping those. He's talking about keeping the Italians and running it back with maybe another midfielder and a center back. So interesting to get your takes on that. Turtz jumped in and said, no issues with any of the moves. A little gutted by Vazquez, but understand it. Would have given Themi another go as well. But I think, Mike, you kind of well documented why the club might have felt it was time to move on from him. And then Boris just jumps in with one name, Javier Hernandez. I'm not touching that one. I'm not touching that one at all. If we go down that route, we've learned nothing.
No, thanks.
Yeah. But I want to go back to Luca's comment really quickly before we leave. Just in terms of, do you run it back? Like, I mean, to a certain extent, like, I think you're going to have to let some people go. But like, in terms of the main pieces, do you just run it back and see if it's...
I don't think it's our choice. I think it's mitigated by so many different external factors that have nothing to do with performance on the pitch, personality in the locker room. It's sunk cost fallacy. It's all of that ugly stuff. It's the realities of the marketplace. It's not wanting to be taken for a ride on a loan deal. It's a million different things that have nothing to do with what we want, can, should, would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just to reiterate what Jeff is saying, I'm not sure. I think, like you said, there's other things at work and other powers at play when it comes to making those decisions. I will say, just quickly, just recapping the roster moves, TFC exercised the options on goalkeeper
Victor Vazquez
and Alonso Coelho. They declined the 2024 contract options for Greg Ranjit-Singh, Thomas Romero, Themi, as we talked about, Victor Vazquez, as Jeff pointed out, and CJ Sapong. Gutierrez loan deal, his contract is over at the end of the year, so it doesn't sound like he'll be coming back. And then Franco Ibarra's deal will expire at the end of the year as well, his loan deal, which, I mean, we already knew. He already went back.
Yeah, and they're still talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still talking to Ame Mabika about a potential reunion there. So yeah, I think just to sum up big picture, no real surprises. I'm interested to see what happens there with Mabika, because I do think there's promise, and I think he comes in at a relatively low cap number unless there's a dramatic change from 2023 to 2024. Yeah, everyone else, it's, like, I think we knew this heading into the season, but there's not much wiggle room when it comes to this team's roster. Like, they have a lot of people that are under guaranteed contracts that I'm sure they would have loved to moved on from at the end of the year, but they have to be creative and find other ways to do it. So I still think it is going to be maybe not as busy as the last two off seasons that we've seen at a Toronto FC, but I still think it's going to be a busy off season for this club once again when it comes to making roster decisions. As John Herman comes in and he gets his imprint, and as Jason Hernandez comes in and Sean Rubio comes in and they make their imprint on the club in their first off season in charge.
Yeah, they're going to have to find some dance partners for some players that don't have a lot of value right now.
Exactly.
So there's going to have to be a lot of take from TFC and not so much give. So
throw in some Toronto condos. They grow on trees, literally. Just throw some Toronto condos in.
Exactly.
Maybe some OVO merch at a deep discount.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we'll wrap it up there, and we'll go back to our over-unders next week. I think those are fun, and I think you guys are enjoying it and enjoying having a laugh at us. So we'll bring that back in next week. Thank you, Jeff, for putting that all together. Absolutely.
Ain't no thing, boys. Ain't nothing.
All right, thank you for tuning into another Toronto Till I Die. The community's growing. Tell us how much you like us. Leave a review. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, or if you got new people watching on YouTube that you know about, tell them to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on the podcast version on Apple, leave us a review. On Spotify, 5 stars would be amazing. And for those who already have, thank you so much. We really do appreciate all the kind words. For Jeffrey P. Nesker, for Michael Singh, I'm Mike Newell. We'll see you next week. Cheers, everybody.
Everybody, you two were buying lottery tickets, right? Like Lotto 649. I'm feeling lucky.
Let's go for it.
All right. Cheers, boy.
And wait. And baby, I'm TFC till I die.